Oh,
Good morning, Palawan. Good morning, Manila. Good evening, Houston.
good morning,
Welcome to
world.
Awesome Live.
Good morning, planet.
Yes, we're Awesome Live with Jacqui Alleje. And we're talking to her about how she got started. I think I initially met her in Rizal Dairy long time ago, or probably not met yet during that time. So, but interesting story, how she got started in Manila. And how she created all these wonderful products. And
Wait,
now she's living her life in Coron, di ba? Yes, Nancy.
before that,
Yeah,
I knew,
half of the
wait,
time, yeah.
I knew Jackie when she was still a maiden, not yet married.
Oh, really?
Yes, yes, yes,
That was
yes, that's
100
true.
years ago.
All right. My name is
But
Anton. Together.
you also weren't married at that time.
Yeah. All right. My name is Anton, founder of our Awesome Planet. Together with Nancy Reyes Lumen. We're Awesome Live with Jacqui Alleje. Can you do a short film? All right, we're so excited, Jackie. And finally, we get to have you in the show. So to get started, maybe you can share your story, how you got started here in Manila. You're Swiss born, and how you got started in Manila. A lot of people are asking me
Okay,
nga, what's your
correction ha.
oh,
Anton, correction. Hindi Manila, Antipolo, Rizal. Iba
ano
yan, ibang bansa yan.
Yes,
Alam mo,
yes.
lalo in 1990 or 1988, Antipolo was so far away from Manila that when we go down to Manila, Green Hills was the only shopping center nearby. In
Wow.
Ortigas, there was nothing yet but grass. Wala pa yung SM Mega Mall. So, when you tell the people na taga Antipolo ka, they will say, ay ma'am, ang layo po. Okay, so anyway, to make a long story short, I arrived in the Philippines 1988 for a vacation because my father was already established here and we went diving together in Walwal and traveled a bit the Philippines. And then he asked me if I could help him manage Vieux Chalet, the Swiss restaurant in Antipolo, which I did. I was supposed to do like a sabbatical, a year or so.
Okay.
And then, well, I got stuck. I got married. I became the mother of 5 children. I became an entrepreneur on my own. And so, yeah, it started with Vieux Chalet. And in Vieux Chalet, we had a few cows that were sold to us by a priest from Laguna. They were some remnants of the Marcos time from their dairy cattle programs. And then we had yogurt and Kesong Puti for Vieux Chalet. We learned how to do Kesong Puti in UP Los Baños with Dr. Davide. She was the one of the Dairy Research Institute in UP Los Baños. Eventually, I got married to a piggery farmer, but I convinced him that we could start Rizal Dairy Farms. So we started Rizal Dairy Farms in 1992, not having any business plan. We just started with 10 cows. And at the same time, we started our family. So we eventually developed other dairy products to cater to the five-star hotels. At that time, 1992, 1994, there was still very little importation of fresh, high-quality dairy products. So there was really a niche market for us. We started supplying Hyatt, Shangri-La, and all these establishments. And the chefs, they were willing to pay any price for our dairy products and our fresh, organically grown lettuce, basil, and tomatoes. And then 1994, we started the Organic Producers Trade Association with the Greenbelt Market, the first organic market in Asia, actually. And I engaged in the organic movement in the Philippines because I think that organic and naturally grown and produced food is much better than the industrially produced food. I'm convinced
Yes.
that the healthy nutrition will be also leading to a healthy mind and healthy body. So yeah, so that's one part. But the other part has its roots in Switzerland, where my mother had a restaurant too. I grew up in a restaurant. I had the culinary and the business administration, education,
Mm.
training. And so eventually, my stint at Vieux Chalet obviously was like a stepping stone of making a bridge between the Swiss, the Western culinary culture, organic and natural nutrition, and the Filipino. So I always try to develop Swiss Pinoy recipes. My approach was to try to entice people to have a better nutrition. I developed training program like my friend Flor Taruela. She has a training center for agriculture, ATI accredited. So I developed modules for training for peri-urban communities because these people also don't really eat very well. They eat very often instant noodles and the like. It's convenient. Minsan malayo yung palengke, mahal yung pamasahe, yung mga ganyan. So yeah, but I also developed the organic South Beach diet, um, which I
Yeah.
taught for many years at Henny Season. And that was a really very nice journey because I was able to share my knowledge with women and sometimes men, but mostly women who wanted to have a better nutrition for their family, who wanted their husbands or themselves to lose weight. And I did that for 7 years. And I was a culinary consultant in Tagaytay Highlands where I led the Bistro Saratoga. We had a farm to fork project with the flower side farm beside Bistro Saratoga. So, I mean, honestly, my last 30 years were really super trooper busy. And that's why I decided in 2018 that I wanted to open a yogurt ice cream cafe in Coron. You have to know that since the 90s, I have been diving in the Philippines and I love Palawan more than anything else. I think Palawan is the nicest spot in the Philippines. I love the sea, I like the islands. It's really the island life that I like the most in the Philippines. So I told my husband that I wanted to start a yogurt ice cream cafe in Coron and he said that I was crazy. Ayaw niya talaga. So it took it
It took
took
the
me
pandemic ba
more.
to make it
No,
happen?
no, no, no. Before the pandemic pa. Siguro it took me a year to convince him with the help of my children that this was a good idea. No, kasi gusto ko rin to give a platform for my kids to eventually continue this because it's an opportunity to engage in business again with the healthy food approach, healthy nutrition, sustainably sourced materials here in Palawan rather than in Antipolo. Kasi sa akin, yung Antipolo, hindi na ganyan satisfying, hindi katulad dati. It's very close to the city already. And I'm not
Yeah.
really a city girl. I'm not a city girl. So I think that if I can have follow your taste here, eventually it will stay small and it will be just my semi-retirement project here. Or my kids could make it bigger and they could engage in other businesses because I think that outside of Metro Manila, there's so many business opportunities and lifestyle opportunities na we don't really have to stick to Metro Manila and its surrounding provinces. But
That's true.
syempre, that's very personal naman, no? I don't say that it is a bad place to be there. But it's not the place of my choice anymore. Kailangan din maintindihan ninyo, pag galing ka sa Switzerland, kung city ang usapan, mas maganda yung mga city sa Switzerland. Kung
Yes.
yung island lifestyle, hindi pwede sa Switzerland. There are no islands, there's no sea, there's no diving. And so, if I am here in the Philippines, I like to be at the places that are the closest to my heart. Lalo ngayon, I have educated 5 children. The youngest twins, they are still in university. Um, and si number 3, si Cassandra, is also still in UP. But my first 2 borns, they're already in Switzerland. They're working. So my children don't need my daily presence anymore. So I can do things that pleasure my heart. Yeah. So
Nice.
very selfish na ako.
Sayang. You've done so much. I remember,
Oo.
Jackie, I think the first kind of cheese you did was ricotta. And you were telling me you would wake up very early in the morning to make agaw, the renin from the katayan ng mga baka, di ba?
Yes. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah. That when you make cheese, you need the abomasum of the cow, which is the bituka basically. Yung bituka is also used in the Filipino cuisine. So pag 4 o'clock in the morning pa lang, kailangan pumunta sa palengke kasi kung hindi maubusan ka. And then that abomasum of the cow, the tribes, diba? You have to wash it. You have to wash it thoroughly. And alam mo, in those times, hindi pa masyado uso yung feeds for cows. So,
Uh,
yung abomasum talaga, it was still green of the grass. Talaga dark green. So you had to wash that in and out. Then you had to chip it in small pieces with the scissors, and you have to put it in vinegar. And that will become your coagulant for the cheese. So that's the super traditional way. Obviously, not for vegans, right? But at that time, wala pang vegan masyado. And then, we did that siguro mga 2 years before I started using yung starter cultures at Renet that is really used by professional cheesemakers because I went to Switzerland to learn a little bit more about cheese making. But you have a good memory, Nancy.
Now,
Yeah.
we have a comment here. Let's talk about Vieux Chalet, no? I'm sure Janet was saying always dining at Vieux Chalet every time in Antipolo. So, Vieux Chalet, how's it now? That's one of our favorite restaurant in Antipolo talaga ever since. But what happened now? What's the story of Vieux Chalet? And is it
Okay.
still open
The
during the pandemic or paano ba?
Yeah. Actually, usually, when so I co-managed it with my dad and his wife Susan. They had kids on their own, and they were still young at the time. And then eventually, na-move out ako ng konti sa management because I also had to take care of my own family and Rizal Dairy Farms,
Yeah.
diba? And eventually, my sister Flo, who is now also a grown woman with her own children and who also studied culinary in ISCAM at the time, because syempre, medyo na-push ko siya to study culinary so that she can take over Vieux Chalet. And she did eventually with her husband. And I think she's doing an absolutely outstanding, wonderful job. Um, we were able to renovate Vieux Chalet. It's very nice, very accommodating. We can receive groups, even small weddings. And I think that she has inherited the free spirit of my father, our father. So she's very creative. She is a real Haessig, a workaholic. So yeah, usually is doing great. And I think it was a haven for many people during the pandemic. They were able to go out because it's open air, it's outside of the city. Yeah, it's doing great. You should visit soon.
Do you remember the chicken that would be roasted in the turbo broiler? Isa lang yata yung turbo broiler noon.
Yeah.
We had
You
to
have
get
an amazing memory. You
I
know,
love it because I love your
everything
dad.
was so simple and so totally underdeveloped. Do you remember the brownouts after the typhoons? There were no brownouts because there was a shortage of electricity. No, 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 wala pa. There was brownout for typhoons. Every time may malakas na typhoon, walang ilaw. And do you remember the, how are they called? Those lamp where you pump? The Coleman lights?
Yeah.
Yeah. So those were the only lights. Wala pa yung mga rechargeable na
Yeah.
na lamps, wala pang battery operated gadget, yung mga ganyan. You were really back to basics pag walang kuryente. Uh, which by the way, I think once we had the lack of electricity and we had the regular brownout, that was at the beginning of Rizal Dairy Farms, and that was a major challenge. When you
Yes.
have a dairy and no electricity, I mean, you go crazy. We used to buy huge ice blocks to keep our milk cans cold. We couldn't process, so it was really very difficult. Yeah.
But one thing I can say for Jackie and audience, you should hear this. Jackie has always been a survivor, a fighter, and really, if she wanted to do something and she believed in it, she will really convince you. Even her husband, she will
Yes.
she will really be there to force her idea, and in the end, it really all good. Because
Yeah, that's true.
Jackie, I must tell you, you're a community leader. Um, you're a Filipino already. Na andun ka na eh. You're so submerged, immersed in our lifestyle. And Jackie has always been for good nutrition, organic, and even the lifestyle of Filipinos, giving livelihood and all that, very positive. So I would say she's already like a Filipino leader in the community. Kaya
I'm
kita
I'm
mahal.
I'm the I'm the critical Swiss Pinay, the one who all the one who is never happy enough. It can always be better. It can always be more encompassing, more inclusive. Pati dito sa Coron, sa totoo. During the pandemic, we made a Bangon Coron group to try to figure out how we can go through the pandemic with the tourism industry and how we can influence the LGU, work with them, maybe to have a little bit lesser impact on the population. But I must tell you, it's very difficult. It's very, very difficult because um, the Coron has, from the within 2 weeks into the pandemic, thousands of people left Coron, and those were all employees, tourism based employees from different ranks and files, up to managers, up to chefs. They all left the island because there was, from one day to the other, no more livelihood for them here. And they came from other provinces. Kadalasan, they are from the Visayas, pero meron din from Cavite, Pampanga. And so, in one way, it was good for Coron because there are not so many people who are in a crisis situation. So that maybe lessened the burden. But on the other hand, um, yung maiwan na dito are very, very few businesses. Very few businesses kept open. Kami, hindi kami nagsara yung Follow Your Taste. During the entire pandemic, my children helped me to keep it open kasi ayoko na naging ghost town ang Coron. At
Oo
saka,
nga.
parang I felt a social obligation towards the Coronians if I was able to have a business opportunity here, I felt that it is not right if I just leave pag wala na yung business opportunity. So we kept it open kahit paano, instead of 7 employees, isa lang ang naiwan. But now, since November 15, when the town opened again to tourists, we are little by little bouncing back. And I'm really very grateful to the universe that we were able to manage to get ourselves through. And I hope that this pandemic will come to an end soon so that people can have again a less erratic life. People can plan again and have celebrations and have a life, right? Ngayon, dito sa Coron, during the pandemic, we just survive, di ba? But you cannot make plans. You cannot even make a
Mhm.
plan for next week.
Yes.
Hindi mo alam, di ba? Hindi. Huwag ka
So is Coron
magplano
open now
masyado.
with the Omicron? Is
Yeah, yeah,
Coron
yeah.
open?
Sa ngayon, it's open. But hindi ko alam. I don't know how the LGU will react. Maybe, um, even if the cases are going to be high, if there are no hospitalizations because it's not provoking a severe
Yes.
disease, maybe they will keep us open. I mean, when they opened on November 15, parang sort of they pledged towards the industry na hindi na sila magsasara ulit. They said, by hook or by crook, we keep it open because the scenario of open, close was really a very, very big challenge.
Yeah.
Lalo pag malaki yung kumpanya mo. I mean, when you have to mobilize like hundreds of people, it's not easy. And nobody can do that over a longer period of time. Diba? So I hope that the Omicron is not going to be too much a threat to the public health here, that we will get through without any closing again. Lalo ngayon kasi it's about to be Filipino summer. It's our little window of opportunity
Yeah.
to earn some money before naging rainy season ulit, di ba?
Mm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
ganyan.
So
That's why
your ice cream parlor is uses your milk, your own product.
we use our yogurt. We use our Greek yogurt to make our ice cream. And then
Wow.
we also make fruit sherbets because uh, the concept originally was geared towards international tourism. And as you know, the vegans are more and more among tourists. So I
Yes.
wanted to have tropical fruit sherbets to offer to those people. And at the same time, it gave me the opportunity to promote local fruits. Obviously, the concept of follow your taste is fresh, local, healthy. So we promote local products as much as possible. I don't deal with imported products. So we have like fruit purees, real fruit purees, huh? Not powder mixes from pineapple, from the passion fruit, strawberry from Baguio, and
Mango.
we literally squeeze the calamansi that are grown here on the island for our calamansi sherbet.
Nice.
And then because in tourism in Coron, kailangan may alak ka, hindi pwede na walang alak. So I developed Drunken Sherbets. Our
Good.
Drunken Sherbets are tropical fruit cocktails, and you must come to Coron to taste them. They're outrageously delicious.
And
Wow.
also, isn't it Palawan is known for kasoy?
Yes, so like
Cashew.
our
Yes.
granola that is one of the toppings for the ice cream, obviously has cashew nuts.
Uh-huh.
And then we
Now,
also make cashew nuts toppings. Yes.
can you show us the ambience? Can you just turn around the camera?
Oh yeah, sure, I can try, huh?
Or yeah, yeah, or just show us
So
around.
so
Okay.
like this is our counter.
Mm-hmm.
Bernadette. Okay, this is
Hello,
Bernadette.
Bernadette.
Hello.
Say hello.
Hello.
So
Hi.
then we have different toppings. We have bamboo straw. We have takeaway
Wow.
containers because I don't like people to use mineral water bottles. This is the menu. This is Arturo, one of the
Hi.
twins. And these are our guests that currently are enjoying our ice cream.
Hello.
The
Nice.
mural in the back was painted by a local artist.
Mm-hmm.
And then this art was made with the traditional sort of decorative blocks because I
Yes.
wanted to give a Filipino theme to our cafe for our international tourists. And this is Via. Uh,
Hi.
Hi.
Via is the owner of Calle Cinco. She does Mexican food. And this is our alfresco sitting. And that's the bag of my son Arturo who leaves his kalat in my cafe. And
Where
and
are your kids now?
all these furnitures are made with recycled woods, and it is
Ah,
Arturo who recycled the wood.
Guapo.
wow.
Yeah. So that
Wow.
is follow your taste.
Nice.
And your children are the ones helping you manage that already while you
Yes,
go diving.
yes, or island hopping, or trekking in Mount Alara. But they take turns, and
Uh-huh.
I think they also enjoy the island life. I mean,
Yes.
they were quite lucky during the pandemic. Instead of being locked down in Manila, they took turns in coming here, so that I think they really enjoyed. Yeah.
All right. Galing, galing. So, yeah, great. Just on Rizal Dairy Farm, maybe can you give us because you were one of the OG in creating cheeses in Manila and up to now. What happened from the time you started Rizal until now? Until now.
Honestly, the business concept is still the same. We have our retail because we really want families, people to have fresh dairy products. So we have our Rizal Dairy Farms Green Shop at Market, where people can either order for delivery or they pass there, pick it up. And then we also, with the pandemic, developed the online ordering. And besides that, we still have our institutional clients, the hotels, the restaurants. It's pretty much the same because with fresh dairy products, you can only have a certain radius of activity unless you are really very, very big. But that also would mean that you have to increase very, very much your farm side, which
Mm-hmm.
we didn't. But the new thing that we added is that we are buying Carabao milk from Carabao farmers in Tanay and Hala actually. So we also have a Carabao cheese and we sell
Mm-hmm.
Carabao milk because that is really something, you know, hindi pwede nawala yung Carabao milk sa milk and dairy lover ng Philippines. It really has a different taste compared to
Yeah.
the cows. But it is also a bit niche product because it's much more expensive than cow's milk. Pero the Filipinos are really particular, you know? When they like something, kahit mahal ng konti, it's their little treat once in a while, and they will really go for it. Um, we are quite happy that we were able to always keep our foothold in the hotel and restaurant industry despite the huge competition of imported products. I mean, the value chain of imported products uh, has increased. I don't know by how much. I don't know the statistics, but you can tell. You all
Yeah.
remember. You remember that in the early 90s, it was very difficult to get imported dairy products. And now you can have it in all different type of quality categories. You can have the lowest possible quality, which me as a dairy producer, I always say those are not dairy products anymore. They're dairy substitutes because there are so many ingredients in those products which are non-dairy, like vegetable fats and binders and stabilizers. And this is very far from what I understand what good food is.
In fact,
So,
yeah, you were explaining to me about UHT, remember?
yes.
Yeah, so
I
try
mean,
to tell the audience.
um, you know, I mean, the best cow's milk or Carabao's milk would be the fresh one that is not even pasteurized. But you cannot do that because that's a bit high risk if you want to commercialize it. If it was for you at your farmstead place, I think it's pretty much okay not to pasteurize. But if it is for commercial use, we decided to pasteurize. That means that you heat the milk basically to 63 degrees. And that means that the proteins, the structure of the proteins doesn't change yet. So the taste is still masarap. But if you make a UHT milk, they shoot it up to almost 200 degrees for only a few seconds. And in that process, it basically kills the live proteins. Reason why it can be a long shelf life because you basically kill everything. But it's still a liquid milk. So obviously it will also kill some of the nutrients. So that's why sometimes they sell it as enriched milk because they put back what was destroyed during that UHT process. UHT is ultra high temperature treatment. So I would say it's understandable that a country like the Philippines with so many islands will have to work with UHT milk. And I think it's still the second best choice. But the cheaper Tetra Pak milk, um, they are actually not fresh milk that was UHT treated anymore. The cheaper one are reconstituted. So basically what they do, they make powder milk and then they reconstitute that powder with water and then they pack it in the Tetra Pak and they sell it as fresh milk. That's where I think medyo may kulang sa labeling laws. Like
Mm-hmm.
for example, if you have a fresh milk that is UHT, it shouldn't be called fresh milk anymore. It should just be called pure cow's milk, pure Carabao's milk, UHT. That's it. Because a milk that you can keep for 3 months, by definition, cannot be fresh.
Correct.
For,
Yes.
for me, a fresh milk is the pasteurized that can last for 6, 7 days. That's a fresh milk. And then, lalo the ones that are reconstituted, they should have a clean and clear labeling and say reconstituted milk. Because the consumer should be educated on what the consumer buys. But of course, basically, the people we buy according to their wallets. But I would say that, like, if you were to have a restaurant, a cafe, we have so many coffee shops now in the Philippines, and some of them use the cheapest possible milk.
Mm-hmm.
Parang hindi rin fair sa customer nila. Kasi kahit paano, if a customer goes to a coffee shop, they go for the experience. And maybe because the preparation of the coffee drink, hot or cold, is nice, they cannot do that at home. But somehow a customer should still be able to expect that he or she is being told what type of products are going into the drinks that they're about to enjoy. But siguro ako ang medyo special with these issues because medyo mataas yung standards ko.
That's good. That's good. You've kept it like that for a long time. Yeah.
Okay, nice. At this point, let's share your photos, no? And maybe you can caption it for us. Tell us the story of the photos. We selected a few, so
Sige.
here you go.
Sino yan?
Who is this?
That's Andrea. That's my eldest daughter. And
Wow.
maybe it's not so clearly visible, but in the back, this is the Matterhorn of Mont
Yes.
Cervin. which is the very famous mountain in Zermatt. So we had a little mountain escapade, the two of us. That was 2015.
How old is she now?
Oh, what is she doing in Switzerland?
Andrea, she's working for WHO.
Oh,
Um,
Wow.
Andrea studied in Ateneo and then she went to Germany for an internship to learn German because she learned German in Ateneo and I found that she did really great. So I sort of organized that she can continue that and she speaks German really, really well. And
wow.
then she did the master's in Maastricht for globalization and development policies. And then she landed in WHO because she wanted to go back to Geneva because she likes Geneva. And Geneva is also sort of half my hometown. And then my second child, Nicolas, he was also an Ateneo student, but he ended up doing culinary. And right now he is in a special culinary training in Geneva again because he is absolutely great. Yeah, so
Wow.
yeah.
And the
He
kambal.
is, after that is number three, si Cassandra, the middle child.
Yes.
She is
Yeah.
studying landscape architecture in UP, and she's probably one of my most creative child, but she is also our bohemian. And pag UP ka, pwede ka talaga naging bohemian. Pag Ateneo, hindi kaya. Ateneo would be much more strict than UP. Tapos the twins, si Arturo and si Luca, one of them is Ateneo, the other is UP. They decided that on their own. By the way, si Cassandra, Arturo, and Luca, they are both, all the three are varsity football players in UP and
Mm.
in Ateneo. And the pandemic basically destroyed their football careers, brought it to an end. So which I feel so sorry about because during their entire childhood they played football, they joined yung panglaro panbansa and all these tournaments. And yeah, the pandemic really put an end to it. Once the pandemic is over, they will graduate already. So yeah.
Okay. Who is
Oh,
that?
this one, Borough Market in in
In
London with my
London.
friend. Yeah, with my friend Tina. Um, she is half English, half Pinay. She used to be our neighbor for 15 years in Antipolo before she went back to England. And she is one of my best friends.
Nice.
Oh,
You did the
ito.
walk
Yes, I did the pilgrimage of Santiago de Compostela twice. Once in 2014, one time in 2017. And I think it's the one of the best experiences in my life ever, ever, ever.
Why? Why?
Why?
Be-
Why?
because you walk, well, I walked it alone. Some people do it in a
Throughout,
group or
throughout, throughout
throughout
the.
from kilometer 1 to kilometer 800. What is it,
Wow.
810? Yeah, so it's basically 33 days of walking. So you wake up early in the morning. I used to walk for 2 hours and then I had breakfast, and then you continue walking. In the afternoon, you arrive in the new place. You sleep in an albergue, which has like, sometimes there are rooms with 50 people, sometimes there are rooms with 12, 6, 10, with bunk beds. So really very super, super simple. But, and you pay like 5 or 10 euro. And you have to have a pilgrim passport for you to be able to use those albergues. But it's like, when you walk and all you need in your life is on your back, in your backpack. And so you carry 7, 8 kilos with the water, it's 8. You carry your food for the day. But the walking is like For me, it's like a dynamic meditation. That's what it would be. It brings you to you, but it also has it's an opportunity to have a relationship to other people, the other pilgrims, which you will never have with other people in your life because it's a particular flock and everybody has their own purposes and reasons why they do the Camino. And it's just gorgeous, the nature, the landscape. And there are people from all over the world. So
That's
that's really
wonderful.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, any tips for people because I know a lot of people have this on their bucket list. Any tips on how to prepare for this? Like how do you prepare
Um,
for this?
okay, so what I did, I read blogs of people who did it, uh, and I particularly paid attention to what they packed, what to pack, not to pack, what
Yeah.
to
So what
bring,
did you
what
pack?
not to bring. So, rule number one is you buy the best possible quality shoes, walking shoes. You go walking with them before you leave so that they're already used to your foot and your foot to the shoe. You bring the lightest and most top of the line backpack. Don't save money on the backpack. And then buy lightweight t-shirt, right? I mean, lightweight pants, lightweight t-shirt that are drying really fast. You bring mini containers for your shampoo. You don't bring liquid soap, you just bring a bar. You bring small toothpastes, not the huge ones. So yeah, and then your little first aid kit, sunblock, and mosquito repellent. That's it. Ah, and the big water gallon.
Wow. That is
And how much is your budget usually if you do the walk?
Your budget, okay, it depends on the pilgrim. There were pilgrims, lalo yung mga bata, the younger ones. They lived with maybe um, 15 euro a day.
wow.
10, 15, 10, 15. But I mean, they will not go to a restaurant. They will make picnic all the time. So yeah, maybe 15 euro. 15 euro is really that was 2015 and 17.
Yeah,
So now
yeah.
maybe it's I don't know now, but so
For
say
you?
15. Ako I
What,
used 30
what about you?
because
What were you eating?
ak, ak, okay, ako I always went to the public albergues. Only once in a while, but really very once in a while, I will go to a little bit a nicer albergue. You know, especially it was in a nice town, a nice albergue. So you need a guide. There are guides. There are electronic guides and there are printed guides. I mean, the electronic guides they just came up when I like 2015, 17. Before it was only printed. You need a guide because the guide gives you the route. It tells you where which albergue is. And so you can plan your own route because you can decide if you want to walk 15 kilometers, 25 kilometers. Nasa iyo, di ba? You can choose. And then, so like I will choose the public because they're the cheapest. So it costs 5 euro at the time, the cheapest. Pag medyo mas mahal, it's already 10, but still okay. And then all the places where they have albergues, where the pilgrims stay overnight, they have restaurants that offer menu di peregrino. So you have the pilgrims menu. And the pilgrims menu at the time were 10 euro. Uh, and then, but me in the morning, I didn't make picnic for my breakfast because I prefer to leave early in the morning and then I go to the cafe bar and I have my
Nice.
zumo di naranja, a freshly squeezed orange juice. I have my cafe latte and I have cafe con leche and I have my breakfast. So that and then I watch the TV in the bars and I engage with the people, watch the locals who watch. I engage into a conversation because I speak Spanish. So that's my morning treat, right?
Nice.
And then for lunch I eat bread and cheese and fruits that I buy. And then the evening I eat the menu de peregrino. But I also am a little bit the bar hopping pilgrim because you pass through all the wine territories of Spain in the north.
Yeah.
No way that I will not drink wine. That no way, no way. So I will have my glass of wine after having taken a shower in the afternoon before going for dinner. I have a glass of wine in the bars. And in the beginning, I will just buy the glass, the regular wine. And then I said, shit, I'm in Spain. Why do I drink this lousy wine? And then I started drinking Crianza. And then at
Mm.
the end, I said, why do I even drink Crianza? And I started drinking Reserva. So, and then in the first pilgrimage, there was this Italian guy who sort of joined me over a long period of time because we had this similar walking rhythm and similar ugali. We don't talk when we walk, we only talk when we take a break, parang ganyan. And he also, syempre Italian siya, he also enjoyed wine. So we called ourselves the bar hopping pilgrims at the end.
How
So, I
long
mean,
did it
from the
take
point
you?
of view, 33 days.
33 days, di ba?
Oh,
And
Yeah, for
where do you fly in?
800K.
Where do you fly in for the
Uh,
first
well,
at the start?
well, usually kasi you should start your Camino in the French Pyrenees, Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port. So you come, but me, I came kasi from Geneva, so I went down by train. People
Okay.
can go from Barcelona. It depends kung saan sila galing. But it's the last town in the French Pyrenees, and so that's the really funniest thing of this Camino. Is
Oh, ang
the
ganda nun,
first day the first day is one of the hardest days. That it's very ironic. Kasi you have to climb up the Pyrenees and you have to climb down the other side.
Wow, really?
And I swear, for me, that was the hardest. It was really hard. I was so kaput. And then after that, you go through uh, Navarra,
Does it pass?
Zamora, you go to the
It doesn't pass San
Rioja.
Sebastian, no? It doesn't pass San Sebastian.
It passes San Sebastian if you go the Camino del Norte, which is a
Ah,
different route. That's the one I did in 2017.
okay. There are two routes.
But
I
if you
think
if you take the Camino Real, the typical one, no, you don't. You go through the Rioja and then you go through Castilla y Leon, and then you enter
Wow.
Galicia.
Galicia.
But in terms of culinary treats, I mean, you're a pilgrim and you have simple food, but sorry, you have the best food that you can imagine. I mean,
wow.
really, really good food. Good cheese, good cold cuts, lentils, the lenteja meals in Spain. Yeah, ako, I think it's maybe that's also why I like it so much because it suits also my
It's
culinary
so good.
expectation.
Galing. Bucket list talaga yan.
Yeah, yeah,
Antonio,
yeah, you should. The people who don't want to walk so much. I mean, um, not everybody wants to walk 800 kilometers. So some people, they just start the last 100K. Because if you want to have like the diploma that you have been a pilgrim, you have to walk the last 100K minimum. So some people they just do the last 100. Other people, like especially the Europeans, sometimes they do it over 3, 4, 5 years. Every summer when they have vacation or in autumn or spring, whatever, they walk a few hundred, and then the next year they go back. They start where they ended the previous year. Or other people, oy, yung mga Pinoy ha, yan,
Oh,
invento ng
paano?
Pinoy.
What?
Invento ng Pinoy, they're hiring a van and they put all and then they don't go with big backpacks. They have maleta and the maleta goes into the van and then they have a little tiny daytime backpack and then so they walk at kung sakali kung sobrang pagod sila o yan they will do the end of the day with the van na lang. So I swear I haven't seen any other nation but the Pinoys doing this.
Pero, Jackie, you did something like
I really,
almost,
I,
Jackie, you almost did like 30 kilometers in
oh,
one day, yeah? Grabe. Galing mo.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
Anyway,
almost
grabe.
marathon. Eh.
Pagod na pagod kapag dating ka. Pero
I think
super happy.
I think you're challenging Anton. Anton, you're
Yeah,
still young. You can still do it. And
no, this is
Jackie,
in our list. This is in our list,
me
the
too.
Camino. So
Yeah,
I always
Go,
pangatlo.
Anton. Go, go,
get
go. Do
interested.
it.
Yeah.
Do it. Do
Okay.
Okay,
it.
next.
More photos. Ayan.
Oh,
Okay.
ayan. Here we are diving in Dumaguete. Ano, that was Coron. That was, yeah, I did, when I decided that I was going to open a cafe here, I did a nitrox dive course. So it's just
Wow.
like, I guess that moment put my spirit in the mind of wanting to do it. It was on that dive trip that I decided that I was going to do it.
I
Yeah,
have a
because of the night
question.
rocks, I guess.
Um, Jackie, you're
Oh.
you're you're so concerned about good nutrition, the good life on the ground. What about conservation of the coral reefs of the Philippines? Aren't you going to take that as an advocacy also?
actually, actually, we sort of did already a bit. Kasi, you know, you know Culion. Culion is a very big island. And
Yes.
it's near Busuanga. Kasi Coron is on Busuanga Island. Okay? So you have Busuanga Island, you have Coron Island, and you have Culion Island. And they're part of the Calamianes Islands. And there is a project of building a bridge from Coron to Culion, which is great. I mean, I love the idea because it would really help to develop the life for people in Culion,
Leon. Yes.
which is
Yeah.
great island. But unfortunately, when they planned it in such a way that it we cut straight through corals and the shipwrecks, which are the attractions for Coron, for people to come from all over the world to dive here. Because we are having shipwrecks at only 30, 40 meters. So these are reachable even by divers who are not technical divers. They're recreational divers, right? And it would have destroyed a lot of corals. So there was a number of NGOs who prepared um, to be opposing this project. And kasi what happened during the pandemic, the DPWH started actually building without a permit. And then these NGOs, with the support of people like us, uh, had it stopped. And so there was, during the pandemic, there was a Zoom meeting with all the stakeholders, and which was forced by the NGO, of course. And we were able to stop it. And the DPWH said kasi, laconically, sabi nila, kasi we had to start before even we had the DNR permit dahil naka-download na yung pera. If we don't start, babalik na naman yung pera sa national. So kami, we said, sorry po, but due process is due process. And obviously, if you were to build it there, you will have to expect us to be really opposing ourselves. Kasi you will have to have a different design. We are not against the bridge. We love the idea of the bridge, but you have to design it in another place and or design it in such a way that it is surely not destroying the marine lives and the corals. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Correct.
yes, you're right,
Galing.
Nancy. Hinuli mo ako.
I know you. You cannot live without something to fight for the
To
good.
fight for.
Ah,
Okay.
Okay.
yeah, see, this is a picture of one of the, well, a drawing of the wrecks. Uh, all the wrecks in Coron where people are dining, and literally they come from all over the world for this, are remnants of the Second World War. And most of them are commercial ships of the Japanese.
Uh-huh.
And so when they were discovered, I think it was a German diver, Günther, and another guy, I don't remember. They were technical divers. So those are the super, super advanced. Those are professional divers.
Yes.
They discovered them and they started literally measuring them out, and then they came up with the rendering of these type of pictures, and that's how the diving industry started. I think late 80s, early 90s. Ako yung first time was 1994. Yung time na yan, wala pang tourism dito sa Coron kung hindi yung divers. Literally,
Jackie,
no.
how deep have you
Yeah.
how deep have you dived?
Secret. I cannot
No.
tell you.
Naka-Nike Crocs na
Because,
siya eh. So malalim na yun.
uh, yeah, no, but a recreational diver is not supposed to go deeper than 40 meters.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Correct.
Let's stick to it.
But syempre, sa tubataha, pumaba ko ng mas malalim. Pero bawal yan.
Okay.
Oo.
Sino to?
Oh, ito. Here, uh, these are organic farmers, and
Yay.
we made a farm visit to a uh, sunflower farm, and the gentleman on the very right, uh, he is working for he is the one to manage this flower side farm in Quezon, because the owner of this farm did that project so that she has money to help handicapped people. So
Wow.
it's a fundraising activity to help
Right.
physically handicapped
Ang
people. Yeah,
galing.
yeah.
Galing.
Like here you can see Flor Tariela and her husband. So we visited another organic farmer, and yeah. So si Flor and her husband, they both have organic farms in
Quezon.
Antipolo. And
Antipolo.
and no, in Antipolo, at saka nakatawa kasi sila side by side, ha, but each of them has her or his own farm and training center. They don't do it together. So they sort of it's very nice, very nice.
And last, this is last photo.
Nice couple. Ito, syempre, family.
Ah,
This
this year
one,
family.
Flo, o yan, you can see uh, on that lady in the red dress with the little girl, that's Flo, that's my sister.
Mm-hmm.
She and Calway, the guy beside her is her husband, they're managing Vieux Chalet. The young lady is her eldest daughter, so she's the cousin of my kids. Ako, my husband, and one of the twins, si Luca. So, the twins and Cassandra, they went to a school in Antipolo, which is a co-ed school, up to high school, which is called HEDSEM, Holistic Education
Yes,
Center.
Anton.
It's a really great school. And Teacher Emma, the directress, she founded that school in the same year that we founded Rizal Dairy Farms in 1992. So all my kids from nursery went to her school in one way or another. But the twins and Cassandra the longest, because there was already a high school when they were studying. And so what they did, they had a project. The kids, the class of Arturo and Luca, and Autumn, who is their cousin, they were all in the same class. They had to organize an art exhibit to raise funds for the indigenous people in Rizal. Yeah, so
Very
then
nice.
Nice.
they
Galing ah.
so they had to hire a gallery. I mean, seryoso ha, as in totally regular commercial. Siyempre, a bit of help, but still they had to go through the process of hiring the gallery, getting the artists, and do the marketing and promotion, and make a vernissage, a opening, and to sell the paintings. Yeah.
What's the name of the place?
HEDCEN, Holistic
Headset.
Education
Yes,
Center.
headset.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
All right. No, Jackie, really so inspired with your story. Siguro, my last question lang, is what were the things that you learned about, your journey about maybe Filipino culture that we can all learn from, no? Especially the younger ones coming up into the industry. You're one of the
Okay.
OG, what they call original gangster in this space. Ano ba
You
yung mga advice mo for
okay?
the next generation? Yeah.
Okay, in the early 90s in the Philippines, we sort of reinvented the wheel. There were only very few establishments that were really uh, very professional in the sense that they hired chefs from abroad. And those were, in particular, the five-star hotels or one or two of the really fine dining places in Makati. I remember there was the souffle, the Le Souffle, uh, there was the Nancy, you will remember
Marami.
Primavera in Greenbelt. Yeah. So anyway, and then most of the restaurateurs at that time needed to train the people from scratch. Only little by little, there were culinary schools opening in the Philippines and really producing graduates for the culinary industry. And now we have a lot of culinary schools and graduates, and I think that the industry is much more professionalized. We have a better value chain for supplies and everything. But it's also very competitive, I think. And I think that in Metro Manila, Makati in particular, or yeah, Metro Manila, it's very expensive to start a restaurant or a food and beverage concept. I think that many people who are opening restaurants are doing it that with money that they earned in other industries that they're engaging into because it would be quite difficult to come up with the starting capital to open a new restaurant now. So it's very high. I think it's very high risk. So I can see a trend that there are more restaurants coming up in the periphery of Metro Manila where it's a bit cheaper to start a restaurant. And I think that's probably also a good trend. I like that trend a lot. Before, when you went out of Metro Manila, there were not very many places to go. Um, but honestly, one thing that has remained the same is that by the end of the day, it's all about quality, about commitment, and continuity. So just don't slack. If you have a menu, you stick to your menu, you stick to your quality, don't disappoint your customers, and keep in mind that the food and beverage industry is a service industry.
Yes.
If you are not happy serving people, don't go into this industry.
Right. Good.
Me it makes me happy to serve people. For me that's not work. It's I love it, and I love to create, and you have to be responsive to what your market demands. Here
Yes.
in Coron, I am reinventing the wheel constantly depending on the situation, and you have to feel what the customers want. The original concept here was supposed to be an ice cream cafe. So in my mind, it was ice creams, hot and cold drinks, and maybe a bit of sandwich and salad, and that's it. But then people said, no, but we want breakfast. Oh, we want omelets. Oh, we want this. Oh, we want bacon. Oh, we want that. And now you should see my menu, and I have a little tiny kitchen, and it's crazy. We have Swiss rosti, we have pasta, we have sandwiches, we have burgers, lahat. because that's what my market wants. So you have to be responsive to your market. Don't, unless you are so big that you have a concept and you say, this is my concept and I don't move an inch. That's a different story, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Tama ba, Nancy?
Very correct.
You are the pro in the industry.
Now,
Huh?
I have to say this before we end. The planet, there are only very few awesome people who will really take care of this planet. Isa na yan si minamahal nating si Jacqui. And I know she will fight tooth and nail for the conservation of livelihood, organic food, nutrition, good education of children, whatever really is positive and good, a good life. And that is for me, Jacqui. And she is awesome because she's a good contribution to the planet. Wherever she will make it a good planet. I love you, Jacqui.
All
Thank you,
right.
Nancy. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
But,
Maraming salamat.
sige, sige. Thank you, thank you. It was
We
a
will visit you
pleasure.
there. We will visit you
Yeah,
there.
you have to
Will do.
come. You need to come. You will love it. You will love it.
I know. I know.
Ikaw din,
All right.
Anton, malapit ka lang, ha?
Oh, yes, yes. We're planning our
Oo.
visit. Do you do
No ex...
vegetable farm? There was somebody
Oy,
asking. Do you do vegetable farm or just dairy?
no, just dairy. We don't do vegetable farming anymore. But maybe I end up doing some vegetable farming here. Who knows?
Who
No,
knows?
there's another one. Gershwin Gao also.
Ayun
And
na,
then
yun na
si
yun.
Bernie Cervantes was also gave a comment.
Ano sabi niya?
Ano?
Okay. Fortitude.
Fortitude. Ayan ang
To
ano
the
niya.
max. This
Yes.
Jackie with our
For,
dairy in Philippines.
fortitude.
Si Jackie Gabriela Silang of Antipolo and now of Coron.
Alright. Alright. Maraming
But you
salamat.
know, wait. Just about the Filipinos. Alam
Yes.
mo, the Filipinos are probably the most complicated people in the world.
Why? Why?
Because ang kala ninyo simple lang kayo, hindi ha. You're very, very complex animals. You know, when they say the Filipinos are resilient, yes, but they're also stubborn. You know, ang kala mo hindi, they are. They also have determination. You think hindi, but they do. They have courage. Come on, all the OFWs going to these strange countries, they don't even know where they are landing, and they are doing it for their families.
Correct.
Honestly, so yeah, the Filipinos are very, very complex. But I must tell you that after 30 years here, the biggest disappointment is that even though there has been progress in one way or another, the governance is still really, really poor at all levels, at all levels. And you know, the result of poor governance is that people have to work double. Some people have to suffer. Some people don't get the education that they should be getting. They don't get the food that they should be getting. And for me, for me, you know, I was so naive when I came because it was after Marcos' time. And I was so naive, and I thought in 20 years, this country is going to bloom. And, and, you know, it was always the Pinoys who told me, are you freaking kidding? No way, it's not going to happen. So, parang, I think that coming from Switzerland, I was overly confident. And it also shows me that it's very difficult to change the structures of governance. And I really think that we have to count on the future generation. Our generation didn't make it. Bobo tayo. Nancy, bobo tayo. We didn't make it. So, sana mas matalino yung youth. Sana kaya nila. Kasi it's a pity. It can be done better, really, really. So that's really my only grievance that I have. If not, I'm really happy that I came here.
I
Yeah,
think the next generation are the children that we raised will be the ones to be awesome also
yeah,
in this
yeah,
planet.
yeah, yeah. I think my children are, our children are really gonna be the ones who hopefully can do the breakthrough. Magaling na magaling sila.
You
Even
know
my
why?
young, yeah.
I'll tell
Why?
you why.
Why?
Because you inspire them, Jackie. So go. You scold them, but you inspire. You scold some Filipinos, but you inspire them also. That's good.
Alright.
Sige,
Maraming
Anton,
salamat.
Nancy, oh,
Thank
kayo din,
you.
oldies na kayo, ha? You're also from the beginning, ha?
No way! No way!
We
Oo,
are
ano
just
ba?
experienced. We are just experienced,
Yes.
Experience.
right?
Yes.
Sige, bye guys. Love
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye,
You.
guys.
Bye-bye,
Live
bye,
an awesome
bye-bye.
life. Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Thank you.
girl.
Can you
Bye-bye.
do a short film? Bye, guys.